welcome back. It's Angela again. So lovely of you to spend some time with me again today. Today I'm going to do something slightly different. I just thought I'd give you a little insight as to what I do with my scraps. That's going to be from how I sort them and how I use them, and maybe something a little bit different, I'm not sure. But anyway, this is what I do anyway. So I know we all have huge amounts. I definitely have huge amounts, and it started to become such a burden as far as scraps are concerned. I just wasn't getting to use any of them. And this was quite a few months ago now. So what I did was I did a little bit of a organization. So this is my version of how I deal with all of that. So let me just grab my basket behind me here. So I'm not even sure if this is in focus, but this is a tray of all my really large scraps. This is how I started, and I ended up throwing everything into something like this, and I've got 2 of these. I've managed to whittle it down to 2. So this is a 12 by 12 size box really. This is the lid and the base, and I've thrown everything in here. But now what I've done is these are just the larger types of scraps. So you've got bigger pieces like this, or you know, something I can use again and again. So I managed to sort out all of these. But what was ending up in the bottom of this tray, or all over the place and never getting looked at, were my smaller scraps. So what I decided to do was keep all of my bigger ones in boxes like this, and this way I can easily flick through them. These are my lighter ones, and I've got the more bluer ones in a separate box. So at least I've got some kind of color organization going on, and I do go into these boxes a lot, especially when I'm making envelopes, tags, all sorts of pockets. This is where I go. So this is what we all have. So what I did from there is, and I'm just going to put that aside, I then made a teeny box. Now I took all the very small scraps. You can see it's just a little plastic container. I've taken all my small scraps and I've put them in here. And the reason I've done that is when I'm making something and I'm wanting to layer up, this is where I go when I'm looking for small pieces, and it gives me a better idea of what I have. So I've got all sorts. I've got things like text in here. I've got embossed pieces. I've got little tiny scraps, more pieces that I have embossed, you know, lacy pieces, and I get a much better idea of what I'm using. And I go into this often. In fact, for me, this is not very many, but I like to keep it no bigger than this. So I use this a lot, and that might help you when you are doing some of the things I'll show you in a minute. So this is what I do with the little bits of paper in a smaller container like that. So let's just put that aside. And then when I come to these pieces of paper and I can't really do anything substantial with them, so for example something like this where I won't be able to cut much out, I do use these kinds of pieces to cut out a lot of different usable pieces. So for example, you can see over here I've cut out small tags. I've used whale tail punch over here. I've cut out some butterflies and that kind of thing. But I also have a big selection of die cuts, metal dies. Now these are in this pouch because they are not branded. These are things that I might have bought secondhand off eBay, or they have no brand. They probably are really cheap, but I have picked them up for next to nothing over the years. So I just put it in the Ziploc pouch. I put these together here because I've used these today, so I thought let me just show you what I'm on about. And now when you've got pieces like this that you can't make into a tag or anything, what I do is I take my smallest, I've got smaller than this, but I've got these tag templates. Now you don't need to have a template for this kind of thing. You can cut a long strip and you can make your own. But I have these because I like the stitched edge on there. Now these I picked up for next to nothing on eBay. And you just have to put tag metal dies in there and you'll get a collection. And it's easy because you can put them wherever you need. Now, as I said, I've got different size ones. I've also got these, which are, they say they're Sizzix, but I got these as they are. And I use these a lot. So I cut out pieces like that. So wherever I've got scraps, using these little ones here, you can cut out, all tangled together now, this kind of thing, which you can easily use to put acetate behind or vellum and decorate, or you can use it to frame on a page. And of course, when you cut it out, you get another piece that comes out from the middle there. I think it's like that. And I use these on all sorts of things as well, which I'll show you today. So and then after I've cut this out, the piece of paper was left with another bigger inner frame which came from there. And then I've just cut around that straight to make a bigger frame. So, you know, I'm using every little last piece that I can. And why I do that is because when you've got these shapes, whether they're those or if it's really tiny, I mean, I would use that tiny piece over here and cut out little tags. So in here I've got a pile of these smaller tags where, I mean, these are so small, but I'm not throwing anything away. When I've got them cut out, it's easy to find what I want and, you know, put them onto a piece that I'm working on. So it doesn't matter how small they are, I use them. Now when here you can see I've cut out the whale punches, and any piece that I see that I can cut out a whale punch, if you've got that, or make tags of your own, there are lots of different punches, or you can do it yourself. I throw them in here. So these are always available, and then I just look for whichever one I'm wanting to use, whatever that might be. So that's another way to cut down on this and have this ready to use. Okay, so that's just another idea for you on using these irregular shaped pieces. Now, when it comes to, and I have loads of these scraps that I've torn off, I would either make little tags, or the other thing I do is make these little paper ruffles. I make different lengths and I sew them, cut them off there. You know, you can tear it off there. You can glue it or you can stitch it, and you've got these little bits to go onto pieces that you're making as well. So don't underestimate any of the torn edges. And I have a whole container there, which I'm not going to pick up, which is big, of these strips that I have torn off. So I keep them all, they're all in different compartments here, and that's how I go about that. Now, when it comes to tea stain paper, I have another little basket, excuse all of this, where I use all the authentic pieces from pages. So this is old book pages that have naturally discolored, and I'm not going to throw that away. What I do with that is I stamp words on those. So I keep all of those pieces as well, and as you can see, I stamp onto those. Like that. And what I do, how I do that, let me just put that away. I've got a little stamp set, and I love this stamp set. I'll show you now. You can put the letters, they clip together, so you can make up your word and whatever that might be. Find your letters, they fit perfectly together like this. Don't know what I'm spelling. Like that there, user, that was fortunate. Okay, so they clip together like that, and then it's really easy to stamp those, and I use archival ink to do that. So this stamp set is, I got it off Amazon, and it is called Contact. That's why I put that in there. So that's called a Contact stamp set. and they are pegs, P-E-G-Z. All right, so there are 36 letters in here, and I like the script. You get different sizes, and they're called Contact. That's the brand name. Okay, so I just put them in there, and I'll deal with that in a minute. And I use those for all those little scrappy bits as well. All right, so what else did I want to show you? Oh, yes, I've got another thing that I use for all my little fabric scraps. I have a container as well on my desk with bigger ones. These are the really little scrappy bits like this, whether it be little scraps I've cut with little ruffles, or I promise you little bits like this. I use them all, and it doesn't matter if I've trimmed it off a ribbon, and I promise you the smallest one, these are like really scrappy bits, but when I'm making little clusters or something like that, this is where I go. So I keep all the really small ones, in here, and I promise you I use these a lot. So that's what I do with these, and I'll show you in a little project we're going to do how I do that. So that's what you can do with your really small little fabric scraps. So what I'm trying to really say is try and organize your scraps, whether they're fabric or paper, into different sort of compartments, and then make up some of these things when you've got a moment, you know. Whether you're watching the TV, get it all ready, or punch things out with your tiniest scraps and have the stuff ready to go. It makes your life so much easier in that way. All right, now another thing that I've collected, and these are all from past projects, these are envelope pieces that I've cut off for whatever reason. And I'm going to show you, I've got loads of these. I've even got them in craft color. It depends what I've done. For these, I use also from craft envelopes. I do cut these off to make tabs with my other tab punch. So I don't throw anything away. Or sometimes when I'm making coin envelopes with the circles, with the twine, I cut out circles because this is nice and firm, and I use those as well. So I don't really throw anything away. I've got little baskets of everything on my desk. I'm going to show you how I use these today, and how I decorate with my scraps. These make a great little pocket upright on your page, and I'll show you how I do that as well. So everything here is being used. I don't throw any of it away. So just to give you an idea, you've seen me make these little pockets before. It's all with scraps. Even my wildflower dies, that's from a scrap that I had, and then I alter it with watercolor paints. Everything really I've reused. So, you know, our scraps are friends, and I sometimes I'll look at a little scrap and it'll inspire me to make something else as well. So yeah, big on scraps, and there's lots you can do with them, and I love layers. So some of the things that I've done, here's a little tag I cut out with one of those tag templates. So, you know, when I see I can fit them in, I cut out all different sizes, and I use those. They're ready to go. Sometimes I've backed them onto cards, sometimes I do not. It just depends how firm they are. Here's one of those little triangles, as I said, from the middle of those frames that I've used there. I've laid up all sorts of scraps. If you have a look on there, die cuts from scraps of printed digitals, and I've just put all sorts on there. You've got vellum, you've got little lace scrap, you've got everything on here. So that's the kind of thing that I like to do. Here's one that we're going to make now. This is just one I cut out from a Rolodex die that I have, or you can use Rolodex. Again, use some of those strips to make those ruffles. All sorts of little scrap pieces that I've just cut and torn and stuck, and that's one of the fabric bits again from that little pile. So that turns it into something really pretty for your journal. So that's another example. All right, so I hope you get an idea of the kind of thing that I do with my scraps. People do ask me a lot of the time, how do I store them, how do I work with them, what do I make with them, all sorts of things. All right, so let's start straight away. We're going to have a little look of how I use my scraps to layer up a Rolodex little card. Again, that was one that I got on eBay. I bought it from somebody who was getting rid of their craft stock, and I was lucky enough to get that. So it's not even a brand, it just came loose. But I'm sure you can get those online as well. All right, so what we're going to do is I've taken another one of those Rolodex blanks, and I'm just pulled out a few scraps here of what we are going to use. So the first thing is I had a scrap of some of this lacy bit that I cut out, and there's another bit that I had there. So I'm going to just stick that down like that over there. So let's do that. Now I don't distress all the edges necessarily unless I really feel I must. So with this, it's with you having all these bits and pieces close at hand, it's easy just to draw on what you have, and the ideas sort of flow from there. So I've pulled out a little piece of vellum and I've just torn it like that, and I'm going to just stick this down as well over here like that, I think. And then I found another little scrap which is from that butterfly bit that I was doing, and I've just torn it out, and I am going with a sort of a blue and a neutral color tone here. So we've got blues and neutrals, creams and browns. So I'm going to stick that over there like that. And then I've taken another one of those long strips, I've torn it and I've folded it, and I have made a ruffle and just stitched straight across there, and I think I'm going to put that something like that. Then I have that little piece of fabric ruffle I showed you just now, and I've just stitched across that to keep it in a sort of a zigzag, and I think I'm going to stick that over there like that. So let's do that quickly. When you've got everything ready, as I said, it's like it's sort of really, instead of looking in huge piles for things, you've got everything right around you, and it goes so much, well, it does for me, it goes a lot quicker, and I feel far more inspired by it, because just the colors sort of speak to me, and I just pull them out and go with it. Right, I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac. That was all over my fingers. I do like the Fabri-Tac glue for the fabric. The art glitter glue does work, but oh, here's a little scrap of trim. Little. See, it all works. Just put that over there like that. I've got a little butterfly, and I've got loads of those cut out from all sorts of places. And I do resize them a lot to whatever I want, so you know. And then these are just little sentiments that I typed up myself on my typewriter. So it's a 80-year-old typewriter. I was fortunate enough to get hold of, so, and I'm loving the typewriter. So if you've got a typewriter, use it. All I had to do was, well, my son serviced it because it wasn't in the best working order, but oh, I think that's too close to my little trim bit there. I think that's better. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm tempted to put a pearl on there, but I won't today. I'll hold back. All right, so there we've got two little cards that we've made up from those scraps over there. So there's that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I had another piece of envelope, as you can see, I cut off, the length of it, and I was left with this bit at the bottom. Now, just to save time, I just want to talk you through what I've done. I've taken white gesso and I've just painted it on there, otherwise it was a bit too dark for my liking. And when that dried, I stamped on there with a script stamp that I have. So it's not even a fancy stamp again, it was one that was really reasonable. Look, it's like this. Excuse the staining, it's old. And I've just pressed that over there like that with my archival ink. So that's what we have as a base. Now this would be great as a little flip out. So what we could do is cover the back here with something. So let's find something that we can put on the back here. Right, so I've got a piece of paper that I'm going to just measure up here quickly. And oh, that's my belly. I haven't eaten yet and it's still early. So we're going to just take one of these. Now you could use a plainer base and write on the back there if you want. So that's also an option. But I'm just going to cut this out. So we have our little backing piece and we're going to just stick that on the back there. So okay, so I'm going to just stick that on the back there, but just be mindful of the opening there. So if you want to stick something in the top, you don't want to limit the length. So what we'll do is we will paste over this section here and then just a thin line at the bottom there, but then I'm going to leave a fair gap just so that I don't paste over that area like that. So I'm going to just stick that down. Pretty much like that. Okay, so there's the back bit, and if you wanted to decorate that up, you can. Right, so we haven't affected our front there. So what I'm going to do now is I want to just gather a couple of bits of pieces. So I've just pulled out some really scrappy bits. This was from one of those long strips that I had. I've got a bit of a contrast with some music paper and some script, so I thought, right, let's have some script there, some music there. Quite like the bit of green, so I'm just winging it here. I just want to make that a little bit more angled, as you do. So we'll have that there like that. We'll put that on the top there. So let's get that stuck down. We're supposed to be having much warmer weather this week, which we are. So it's the last summer rearing its head, just for, I think, for the last time. So thank you everybody so much for sharing where you lived and your favorite seasons and all your food addictions and coffee. It was lovely to read all of that. It was just so amazing to get to know you guys so much better, because I feel like I'm like putting my life out there, and it's so nice to get something back. So thank you. That was just wonderful. Right, I've got another little bit of blue here, which I think I might just stick over there. Just got mauves and blues and neutrals again. Again, try and stick to some kind of a color scheme so that you know everything will go together. Now I've got a little fussy cut violet here, which I think I'm going to just put like that over there. Do I want to go and have a look in my little box here for some little scrap bit? Let's see. Oh, that was a needle. So we're finding needles in haystacks here as well. So I'm just looking for something that might work. Oh, maybe this. I've got a little bit of ruffle that I hand stitched. Oh, I wonder if I've got that lying in here. I wonder if that's going to work. Oh, I've got a tiny little bit of fabric in here as well. I'm getting distracted, I will say. But, you know, this is how it goes. I'm not sure if I want to use those two. I think if I use the other, it's going to be too much. So let's just try and see what we are doing here. I did have a little button somewhere as well. Oh, I've even found a little paper thingy. It's amazing what I find in my own pieces, my scrap pile. And then as you see, it just sort of evolves as it does, you know, that's just how it goes. So I quite like that. That's looking good. I'm going to go with that. And then the only thing I'm going to add on there, put that over there, is a little button. So I'm going to just stretch across here quickly. I had one on my desk that was stitched, but I'm not going to try and find that now. All I'm going to do is, I'll just show you how I do this. Got a little tiny button here. Just go like that, because I like it to have a stitched look. So I'll just go through there twice, and then I tie a knot at the back. Not easy when you're wanting it to work, is it? Right. So we've got that happening now, I think. Yes. Yes. Okay, so that's how I do that. Just get my sharp little scissors here. I do think it looks so much nicer when you've got a button that looks like it's been stitched on. So we are going to turn that the right way up and stick it down over there in a minute. So let's just get this bit stuck down first. So we need to put this on. So that just emerged out of my fabric section. I don't even know how it got in there. And this is cut out from a piece of scrapbook paper. Because people often ask me, I use anything to make you know, with the die cuts. It could be wallpaper, it could be book pages, it could be digitals, it could be tea stain paper, whatever I see and think, oh, sometimes I get lovely colors from the Amity Bloom, and I might have cut out the flowers, but now I'm left with all the blue. So there's that as well. You know, it just depends on what the size of the scrap and what I'm doing, really. Right, how did I have this now? I had that there. We're going to have a little bit of that there. So let's stick this bit down first. So we'll do that over here. So, you know, you get the most beautiful layers with everything that you have been collecting. And don't throw it away, you know, just don't throw it away is what I'll say. You just never know where you're going to use it. I mean, I use, like, look how small that is. It's now got a new use. God only knows why I was saving it, you know. There's that. Okay, this one is pretty much finished, so we're going to use this one. And we'll just stick it on over there. And I'm going to stick on that button over there. Make sure I've got it on the right side. So there we go. Hold it down. And that will work. And then I've got a nice little word. I don't know if I am going to use it. It's one of those ones I've shown you I've stamped onto naturally aged paper. And do I want to use it maybe underneath this leaf? Yeah, I think so. I think that's where it's going. So you see, we now just tuck that under there like that. just on top of that purple, just to mute it a bit. And there we have some, I'm putting the wrong thing on there. Right, so there we have a little pocket that's going to be a gorgeous little flip out. Let's put some more over there. Which we can put into our book page like that. So we can attach that like that, and it's going to flip out, and we can put in some nice little cards. So I'm just looking for something that I might have here lying on the side. So I've got this and this. So if we had to put in, as an example, these two little cards like that, and that would work perfectly like that. Need a few more bits in there, I think, just to bulk it up. All right, so could even put longer ones as well, but I think I'd keep them shorter. So something like that. Even our little tag that we made earlier, you know. So there's that, and that would work pretty well, wouldn't it? All right, so there's a lovely little flip out, just with, or a little envelope. You could even stick that down and not put anything on the back, and you'd have a lovely envelope as well. Oh, envelope, a pocket, sorry, like that. So there's another beautifully laid up piece. So there's that. We've made two things already. I'm going to make one more, and that is using these pieces here. Now, the way I would put this in my journal would be upright, because I'd have it as a little tuck spot this way. So you could tuck in tags or journal cards or pieces of ephemera up that way. Here's a more suitable. This hasn't been backed yet, but give you an idea of the kind of thing that I'm on about. Yeah. So, and I will get to that in a minute too. So that's what we're going to use, and we need one like that. All right. And the way I did that again was using my scraps. I'm going to use this there. This is the side I want to open, so let's just be mindful of that. Obviously it could go either way. It could go this way as well if you want, but I think it's too wide for a page. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, I've got a piece of letter, a scrap as well, long piece that I've torn off the edges. I'm going to stick that down over there. And I've also got a little piece of vellum, which I printed on and that's a scrap from those little pockets, and I'm going to stick that down as well. Right, so we'll have that on that side, and then we'll have the little vellum bit just towards the top, I think. Okay, so use different materials, use just everything, use pieces of fabric, whatever you want, you know. It's just a case of trying as you trial and error. That's what it is, trial and error. Now, what I've got a lot in my book, and which I like using, are these black and cream, well, they were probably white, but this is now cream, black and white images. So I'm going to stick this down, because I think a lot of us don't think to use these, and they add a lovely contrast even when you're working with pastel colors to your work. So I have quite enjoyed using these. I'm going to just stick this to the side here, and I'm not worried that it's going to go over the edge, because I'm going to stick that on the back onto my page, so that's fine. And then what I've done is I managed to find a little fussy cut that I've taken out of a book, and I thought, oh, blue, that will work, and I'm going to put that over there, I think just slightly over. And then I've cut out one of my die cuts, and this is from a Amity Bloom page where I cut out all the illustrations, and this was left with this beautiful baby blue or powder blue, and I'm going to put that over the top there like that. Right, so just put this all around. Abby's lying on her back with her 4 paws in the air. I'll put a photo of that there if she's still like that when I'm finished. It's fast asleep, and I thought the tongue was sticking out, but it's not. And as long as she's next to me, she's happy. Little thing. Yeah, I tell you, dogs are just amazing. Look, I love all animals. I love cats. I had 5 cats at one point. Almost the cat lady, almost. But at the moment I have a dog, and she is such a little cherub, honestly. I wouldn't be without her. Right, so we've got that sorted. So what I did now was I went back into my scraps and I found a long strip like this. I've chopped off because I've used a piece. Again, just torn the edges off and done the concertina thing. So gone like this. You know, get a couple of these ready when you're doing this kind of thing, and sewed across there. So I did that, and that's what we have, something like that. And I'm going to stick that just because it brings in the blues, yeah, at the bottom here. So you see how I'm sort of keeping the color scheme all matching. So that's going to go at the bottom there. And then again, I'm just going to use one of my little sentiments that I've typed. Now, if you guys want me to put a digital together with sentiments, then let me know. If you don't have a typewriter, I suppose, you know, and if you've got some that you would like to see on there, then let me know what those are too, you know. So I think I'll just put this a little bit to the top there. Or do I want it over? Yeah, I think I'm going to put it over here. Not to cover up the little stitching bits. Okay, I keep wanting to put that on there, but it doesn't go on there. All right, so we have made a couple of things here with our scraps today. So I hope that you have enjoyed that. This is going to look so pretty. Can you imagine that on your page? Yeah, so let's get a page. Hang on a minute. If we had a page like that, and I put that on the side, stuck that down, then you've got a little tuck spot for your pocket over there like that. And you could add other bits as well. So it doesn't have, let me just grab what I had in here. Just wanting some kind of different colors. You could layer that up too, you know, so it doesn't have to just be one little goodie. You could have a few little bits coming out there. In fact, I like the blue egg, so the blue egg will go that way. So it just brings it all together. And I would stencil on there and do various things. So that would make a beautiful addition to a page. And again, it's from scraps, except for the fussy cuts. The rest of it is pretty much scrap. All right, so just another idea for you when you are doing things in your journal. So it doesn't matter what it is that you are using. If you've got anything you've got to cut off, hang on to it. You know, we can make something of it. So that's what I say. Right, so we've got little tags. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to share that people had asked me, and that was about how I do the bows. I'm going to show you quickly. I just want to cut a bigger hole here. Now, the way I do bows is as follows, and I'm just doing that because I have a tag today. So I'm cutting a bigger hole. So that's, I think, a formal hole. Now, the way I do it is I take a piece of, let's grab that little, what do I want to put in here? So I'm looking for, this is just some old cotton that I've dyed. Right, so what I would do is I'd put in, show you various things with this. So we're going to pull in our whatever we're using. So it could be sari, ribbon. Obviously, the way I do it is I don't tie a knot there first. I go straight into my bow from that. So I go like that, round the fingers, and there you have it, just like that. And then it's just a case of opening them up and doing your thing. Now this never works when I want to do it on camera. Now this is a very soft cotton which I tea dyed, really soft, because it was old. And then you just need to pull those to the length that you want them. So that's the one way. Okay, like that. And then cut it to the length that you want. Now if you're using sari ribbon, then you want to, it looks better if you iron the ribbon, to be honest. All right, so that's the one way. If you don't iron the ribbon, it looks a bit more clumpy. Now the other way I do it is I go like this, and I cut a piece off like that. All right, so I've just threaded it through. We'll get to the trimmings at the end. Okay, so that's halfway, meet up the two sides. And then what I do is I've got some, Gina gifted me this linen thread. You just cut off a piece. I have no idea where it comes from, but you get linen thread all over. And then what I do is I just loop it around the back. I put my finger on the top there just to keep it in place, and then I tie a knot over there, and I make a little bow over here like that. And it is fiddly because I do like the bow to be smaller, so it's just a case of getting it to the right size like that. Yeah, putting it right, and then when I'm happy with it, I trim off the little ends like that. And then what I do is I put these two bits together and I level them off like that. Okay, now when you do this with other things like sari, you can get a fuller bunch at the top here. It just depends what it is that you're using. Now you can use some of these little tags. So say for example you wanted to add in another little tag dangling from there, you can add it onto this thinner bit, thread, make a hole and thread it through there. You can add a charm, you can add a bulb pin with little bits and pieces on, or seed beads. There are lots of things that you can do. So that's another example of how to do that. Somebody, I've had a few people ask me that. So yeah, okay, so what have we made today? We've got little flip outs, we've got little tuck spots, and we've got a couple of Rolodex cards, and I've got that many less scraps in my life. All right, so I hope that you, oh, you can't see those. All right, so I hope that you've enjoyed that, ladies. Have a play around, go and sort those scraps out, and when you're sitting in front of the TV, get everybody who's looking a bit bored there, give them a punch or give them a template, get them cutting out tag shapes for you or tab shapes for you. If you don't have a tab punch, just fold. I'll show you what you do. Let's grab a piece. If you don't have a tab punch, I'm trying to find a wide enough one, then what you could do is just take your paper, fold it in half like that. Yeah. Cut off the length that you want for your tab like that. There we go. And you can either use it like that, or if you want to give it some shape, then don't fold it in half, just match up the corners and give it a shape like that. You can make it wide, narrow, whatever you want to do. So you don't have to have a punch, but at least this way you now have a little tag that you can use. So there are many ways to do this. You can use circles and fold the circle in half. You can do lots of different things. So I hope that's given you some ideas of how to go about using those scraps. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And as always, thank you so much for your wonderful kindness and support. You are all amazing, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Until I see you all next time, stay safe and have a lovely week. Bye-bye.